Hi guys, so Jimmy Dore is an American comedian who's also a progressive commentator on YouTube. Now, he has a particular take on many issues, but I generally agree with most of them. In this video, he's going to talk about Bernie Sanders, and I think he's being disingenuous to Bernie Sanders. Let me explain as we listen to what Jimmy has to say about all of this.
So Bernie Sanders says this yesterday. He did an interview, and here's what he has to say. Here we go.
Some of my friends in the Democratic establishment are not aware, or I think cannot comprehend what some of us have in mind in terms of what will happen after Biden is elected, hopefully after he's elected.
So I just wanted to stop it there because Bernie starts off with my friends in the Democratic Party. Bernie, friends don't throw you under the bus and mock you at every opportunity while you're out campaigning for them. That's not.
Now, Bernie Sanders uses the term friend all the time. I know I may seem like I'm climbing mirrors here, but this is a typical expression used by Bernie Sanders. My friend Joe. Now, I think during the nomination, the primaries, it was probably not Bernie Sanders' best approach to refer always as a friend of Joe Biden and Joe Biden being his friend and him having respect for Joe Biden. He should have been a bit more aggressive. But that is pretty much irrelevant, and I'll explain in a moment.
Not something that a friend does. Okay. But campaigning for a guy who does that makes you a cuck.
And that is, we are not going back to business as usual. There's too much pain out there. There's too much inequality out there. There's too much injustice out there. And here is what I believe from the bottom of my heart. If the Democrats, with the Democratic president, Democratic House, and Democratic Senate, cannot begin to address the real crises facing this country, then the future of this nation will be very, very dismal indeed.
So what Bernie is saying is that the people he's been saying are horrible for 40 years. The fate of the country hangs on those people. That's what he's been saying. That the fate of the country hangs on the Democratic Party. What he's saying is we're screwed.
Now, just to give you a bit of background, so Jimmy is a firebrand. He's a progressive. He's not a big fan of the Democratic Party. Now, he would prefer Joe Biden, I'm pretty sure, to Donald Trump. But he's not going to vote for Joe Biden. He's completely against Joe Biden. But if push came to shove, he would probably vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. What he's doing here is he's criticizing Bernie Sanders for supporting Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders has come out and said, look, I will support Joe Biden. I'll campaign for him in the same way he campaigned for Hillary Clinton back in 2016. What I want to explain here is that Bernie Sanders, as Jimmy has said, has been calling out these people for 40 years. Bernie Sanders has been on the outside screaming in. He's been trying to change the Democratic Party from the outside. He's been doing it for many years. He's had mixed success. Now he has decided, for whatever reasons he wants, I think he's been maybe pragmatic here. He understands that screaming from the outside doesn't make any difference. See, there's a big difference between what happened in 2016, like Bernie Sanders campaigns, Bernie Sanders as a politician up to 2016, and Bernie Sanders today. Up to 2016, Bernie Sanders was pretty much unknown. I was familiar with him, but most people in outside the political bubble, non-political junkies, wouldn't really know who Bernie Sanders was. people who do know about Bernie Sanders know about his policies, know about how he was passionate, how he stood up against the Iraq war, things like this, how he's been always campaigning for Medicare for all, how his voting record, you can look at it. So he has a very clear position on many issues. When 2016 arrived and he ran for president against Hillary Clinton, he was still somewhat of an outsider, and he tried to change the system in a sense from the outside. He did the same up in the primaries itself this year, where he said, look, I think in his mind, I'm going to change the system. What happened was the system doesn't want to be changed. The system fought back against Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was leading in the primaries. And then on Super Tuesday, at the beginning of the year, everything switched. The system, the party, the media rallied around Joe Biden. Now, there were some other issues as well. For example, I think it was in South Carolina. Bernie was struggling with the African American community, and he wasn't able to win in South Carolina. So he was he was affected by that. His campaign was damaged by that. But the system resisted him because he was fighting from the outside. He was bringing a lot of people into the party who were not part of the system. And when I talk about the system, I'm talking about the party, I'm talking about the consultants, I'm talking about lobbyists, I'm talking about the media, everyone who's benefiting from the system, but also giving something to the system to maintain it, the status quo, if you want to call it. He wanted to change that. It didn't want to be changed, so it protected itself. Now Bernie Sanders has realized, I can't fight the system from the outside. My alternative is to either sit it out, retire, go back to my home and my flower garden and give up on politics, or do what I do best, is try and convince people, speak to people. And that's why he's hoping to become part of Joe Biden's cabinet and try to change something from within. He knows, I think Bernie Sanders knows, that his power on the outside is waning. 2020 has pointed that out to him. His power is pretty much gone on the outside. And also there is a progressive caucus within the Democratic Party. There's some leading figures like AOC, for example, who are becoming more powerful within the party. They're able to bring a lot of young people in, a lot of voters in, a lot of supporters in. They're able to rally a lot of people. And people like AOC are there because of people like Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders could sit it out. He could go home, retire, have an easy life, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to change something. He wants to make life better for ordinary people. He has realized he can't do it on the outside, so he's going to try and do it from within. Now, I'm sure he understands that whatever he tries to change will be resisted, but he has, I think he has looked at it and said, it's better for me to try and do something than to do nothing. What the problem with Jimmy Dore is that Jimmy wants Bernie to stay on the outside, screaming in. But that has failed. It's not going to work anymore. And I've said before, you either bring down the system or you attempt to work within it and try to change something, whatever you can.
You really think the Democratic Party is going to help you?
It's not going to help him. That's not his goal. His goal is to change something within the party, within the system. He understands, look, The choice is between Donald Trump and not Donald Trump. He understands that if there's another 4 years of Donald Trump, it's going to be an absolute disaster. And him on the outside has zero power. At least if he's within the Democratic Party, if he has a cabinet seat, he can change a little. Of course, he's not going to change the system. He's not going to bring down the system. He's not going to create a revolution. But he feels, I'm an old guy. I don't have that many years left. I'd like to leave something to the next generation. I'd like to plant a seed, perhaps, and eventually it will grow.
And by the way, if Bernie...
Sorry, once again, I know I'm probably sounding overly pragmatic here. Not my style. But the US system is resistant to any type of external influence. You have two parties. That's it. People like Jimmy will try to promote the Green Party or libertarian parties or other types of independent movements. That's okay on a local level. It's possible for them to win seats or whatever on the local level, but on the presidential level, there are two parties. That's it. There's no changing of that.
He considers the Democratic establishment his friends. I'm terrified to see what his enemies look like.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to work within the system, you have to understand that you have to be friendly to the system. You don't actually have to believe it. It's like in the UK where, my right honourable friend, they're not friends, but they know that they have to use this type of terminology. It's the terminology he's using because he knows he has to use it. If he starts calling, Joe Biden a bastard or something, that's not going to help him. That's not going to help his goal.
The people are giving us an opportunity now. And if we blow it by not being bold and aggressive, the next...
Like I was in the campaign, how I was not bold and how I was not aggressive and how I was a patsy, a spineless, nutless wonder who rolled over even russiagated my own self, even russiagated himself. He red baited himself.
There was nothing he could do. What could he do? Yes, I actually said at the time, Bernie should have been more aggressive. He should have attacked Joe Biden. But looking back at the primaries now, with the knowledge that we have, it wouldn't have made any difference. Because, as I said before, the system protected itself. If Bernie had brought in 100,000 people, if he had 200,000 people marching in the streets for him, it would have made absolutely no difference. Because the system didn't want him. The system saw him as a threat. That's why it wouldn't rally around him. There was polling done between Trump and Bernie Sanders. And Bernie was winning. Wouldn't you think that the Democrats would say, well, let's run with the best candidate if we want to win? I've said this before. It's not about winning. It's about maintaining the system. They would prefer to lose with Joe Biden than win with Bernie Sanders. I've said that before. Jimmy seems to think that there's some way that you can destroy the Democratic Party and then destroy the system. You can probably destroy the Democratic Party, but the system will remain intact.
You mean like that kind of boldness? You bullshitter? You sheepdog for the Democratic Party? You bullshitter.
This is starting to piss me off a bit because this is disingenuous. Bernie Sanders has been fighting for poor people, the working class, all his life. If Bernie Sanders was some sort of cuck, as you say, then he would go home. He has a good salary. He would have a good pension. How does he benefit from this? Or he'd have a cabinet seat, perhaps? Do you honestly think that Bernie Sanders cares about having a cabinet seat in Joe Biden's administration for what? For vanity? Somebody who has been fighting for the middle class, for the middle and working class all his life, now is concerned with vanity. Oh, look at me! I want to have some sort of legacy for myself. No, he wants a legacy for the people. He has been fighting on the outside. It has not worked. Now he wants to do some fighting on the inside. He's being pragmatic here. I actually have a lot of respect for him for doing this, because he could simply say, to hell with this crap. I lost. The system rejected me. I have no more power. To hell with this. I'm going home. But he's not.
This is all talk. The time for him to do something came and passed. And now he has absolutely no power. None. Zero leverage. Bernie gives a speech, 6 people show up. Bernie does a live stream. I do a live stream. We're getting 10 times the viewers. No one gives a shit what he has to say.
That because it's not important what he has to say. It's important what he does. If he's in part of Joe Biden's cabinet, I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. There's a possibility he could become a member of Joe Biden's cabinet, because Joe Biden could say, let's give Bernie a place in the cabinet. It will help us in some way. He won't have any power, but he will be able to operate within that to help some people. Isn't it better he helps some people than helps no people? Maybe I'm setting the bar too low here. But you have to understand that in the US system, there is no breaking of the system. Not yet. Things would have to get so bad, and we're nowhere near that yet, that a revolution would start and you would have a new system. You would be able to burn it all down and start from scratch. But Jimmy, we're nowhere near that yet.
To address the real crises facing this country, then the future of this nation will be very, very dismal indeed. The people are giving us an opportunity now, and if we blow it by not being bold and aggressive,
like we've always done, like I've always done, like I just showed you that I'm going to do, you know, that thing that we always, if we do the thing we've always done and keep doing, and the thing that I'm going to do.
The next Trump who comes along will be even worse than this one.
So,
some of my friends in the...
if we keep going along with the status quo of Joe Biden and the way the Democrats have been going along, that the next Trump is going to be even worse than this Trump, where have I...
And so can you imagine if, like, what does Jimmy want Bernie Sanders to do? To what? To stand on the outside screaming in again? Which has had very limited success. And then the problem I have with Jimmy Dore when it comes to this is Jimmy Dore sets a very high bar, a bar that no one can achieve. He wants people to resist the Democratic Party. Don't go out and vote for Joe Biden. What you should do instead is write in the Green Party, or write in protest, or write in something else. This is Jimmy Dore's approach to this. The chances of success from that are less than 1%. Less than probably 0.1%. It doesn't work. There is a system. You either work within the system or you remove the system. What Jimmy's suggestion is will have zero impact on removing the system. He can complain all he wants, but it's not going to have one bit of an effect on that system. Yeah, complain, call Bernie Sanders names, and then that will change the system. No, it's not going to work.
I heard that before. Where have I heard that before? Next thing you know, Bernie's going to start saying failed state. And he might even get Syria or Venezuela right. Looks like Bernie's speechwriter is watching the show, which is nice to see. We're going to get a worse Trump, huh, Bernie? Isn't that something?
What Bernie is saying is, and I don't know if Jimmy understands this, is that if we don't change anything, we're going to end up with a worse Trump. If Donald Trump wins another 4 years, you're going to end up with a worse Trump after that. If Joe Biden wins and Joe Biden has, there's no handbrake on Joe Biden's policies. If Joe Biden just goes back to what Obama was doing, or what Clinton was doing, or what Hillary Clinton was planning to do, then you're going to have another Donald Trump after. Bernie Sanders understands his power is very limited, but he feels it's better for me to do something than to sit on the sidelines. Once again, standing on the sidelines or standing outside the party screaming in is not working. It hasn't worked so far. The 2020 has demonstrated that it doesn't work because the system, as I said before, resisted Bernie Sanders.
After I just
So why is this so difficult to understand?
did everything to make sure the guy who gave us Trump gets elected so we could get an even worse Trump, I'm going to now warn you about the thing I just did.
What do you want him to do, Jimmy? What is he supposed to do? Please tell us. Please. This is one of my problems with these types of people. They will point out everything that's wrong, but they will never tell you what should be the case, what should actually happen. And telling people, writing Green Party or something like that on your ballot is not going to work. That's not a solution. It actually helps Trump. Once again, I'm not defending Joe Biden. I'm not defending the Democrats. They're part of the system. The Republicans are part of the system. You either try to work within the system or you burn down the system. There are no other alternatives. Well, of course, you can just sit back and do nothing. But if you want to change something, you either burn it down and start from scratch, or you try to work within the system. And I think Bernie Sanders is trying to do that.
This is from Politico. Senator Bernie Sanders is hoping to be part of Joe Biden's potential administration and has expressed a particular interest in becoming labor secretary.
Is Bernie a Republican?
But I know, Bernie, you're not a Republican. You're not going to get in Joe Biden's cabinet. He's got an interest in becoming labor secretary.
Jimmy thinks he can't get in. He wouldn't be made. He mightn't actually be labor secretary. He could be something else. But wouldn't it be better to try and get in and do something than to sit outside and do nothing?
But I bet he'll accept just being told to fuck off for the billionth time. Will he? Will he? The guy who campaigned harder than the actual candidate hopes to get some kind of acknowledgement.
So we're
No, I think you're being disingenuous here. It's not he wants some sort of acknowledgement. He wants to change in whatever way he can. He wants to change the system.
really going to be able to tell if he's Joe Biden's real good friend at this point.
Right? Here's what Kyle Kalinske said. Bernie Sanders is hoping to be part of Biden's potential administration and has expressed a particular interest in becoming labor secretary. Hoping, he puts in all caps. You know, you could have demanded it for your endorsement before you dropped out. How is it that a freaking YouTuber knows this? How is it that a pothead comedian in his garage knows this? But Bernie doesn't know it? Bernie knows that. He's just a...
Do you not think that it could have been something that was discussed behind the scenes? Just because Bernie didn't say... Of course, Bernie may have not said it at the time. Maybe it was an agreement between... I'm sure Bernie and Joe Biden had an agreement. Please drop out and I'll make you... I'll make you a secretary of something when I release information about my cabinet later on. Now, maybe Bernie dropped out for some other reason. But just by saying, well, he did it without you, you don't know. You were not there. You were not part of the negotiation. Nobody knows what took place between Joe Biden's team and Bernie Sanders' team, apart from Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders' teams. So it's easy for you on the outside to say, well, Bernie just gave up for nothing, when you don't know.
Nutless wonder. He's there. He's not there to stand up for you inside the Democratic Party. He's there to sheepdog you into it and tell you to vote for the problem, because he doesn't want to end up like Ralph Nader, because he turns out doesn't have as much guts as we wanted him to.
It doesn't matter about guts. This is what you don't seem to understand, Jimmy. You seem to think, well, if Bernie Sanders had been a bit more aggressive, then he could have changed the system. You really believe that? Are you that naive that you think, well, if Bernie Sanders had just, verbally punched a few other candidates, then he would have been able to change the system in some way, so the Democrats would have said, well, we have this, the Democrats chose Joe Biden, even though the polling at the time was dead against Joe Biden winning when he was put up against Trump. The best candidate to defeat Trump at the time was Bernie Sanders. So why do you think that the Democrats chose Joe Biden? Because they wanted someone they could trust. It wasn't about winning. It was about someone who's not going to rock the boat, someone who's going to maintain the system. So why would they choose Bernie Sanders? Why would they support Bernie Sanders? Because he was more aggressive? You really believe that? Both you and Kyle are in a bubble, unfortunately, and I think you're incapable of seeing outside that.
He doesn't have those guts. Doesn't have it. Doesn't have it. Being a nice guy doesn't make you a leader. By the way, that's not him being nice. That's him being nefarious and evil by sheepdogging you into the party and then turning his back on his movement and getting nothing for it. That's not.
This is quite frustrating, because it's very easy on the outside to say, oh, Bernie Sanders is being weak, Bernie Sanders is doing whatever the Democratic Party want. He has made a decision. He has decided, I can sit this out and do nothing, or I can try and change something. I can try and influence the party from within. Jimmy's sort of ignoring certain candidates, certain politicians, Ro Khanna, for example, or AOC, who are there because of Bernie Sanders. So there is some influence. It's quite limited, it's quite small, but there is some influence, and it is growing, I think. If they're able to bring other people into the party, that's going to change the party. Now, is it going to change the system? I don't know. I'm a bit more pessimistic about it changing the system. Unfortunately, the system seems to change people, not people changing the system. Now, I think Bernie Sanders is somewhat the type of person that if he believed he was not going to have any influence, he wouldn't waste his time trying to have influence. It's not about vanity. I think he's going to take the chance and join Joe Biden's cabinet, potential cabinet, of course, to influence it.
Not him being a nice guy. And Kyle is correct 100% here. And by the way, that's not Bernie.
No, he's not correct. He's 100% wrong, or he's at least 100% unknown.
Sanders not knowing this. He knows this.
You're speculating, and Kyle is speculating. Nobody knows what took place between. Nobody knows what took place between the two campaigns behind closed doors.
God damn. I'm sure Bernie's got nothing to worry about. I mean, Democrats always look out for him, don't they? Like when he did nearly 40 events for Hillary Clinton, and then she went on Hulu talking about how nobody likes Bernie. Hey, Bernie.
Am I here to defend? I'm not here to defend the Democratic Party. I've never defended the Democratic Party. Bernie doesn't care. I don't think Bernie cares at the end of the day of these people. It's not about those people. It's not about the Democratic Party. It's about trying to salvage something for the poor and the working class. It's like, I think everyone who's listening to this, if you're working in an office, you work with people you don't like. It doesn't mean that everyone you work with is your friend. I hope it's not, because that's a very strange relationship to have. But you work with people that you don't like. But you work with them because you have a goal to achieve. Maybe it's not the same goal as those people, but you have your own personal goals to achieve. And you need to work with people you disagree with, and people who don't like you and you don't like them. But you still have your own goals. Like, does Jimmy seriously believe that Bernie Sanders has to like these people, or these people have to like Bernie Sanders in order for them to achieve their goals and for him to achieve his?
Just so you know, they hate you unless they want your email list. Mm-hmm. They hate you unless they want votes from your supporters, or an endorsement, or a unity tour, or a campaign event. Then they remember you, and then they go back to hating you immediately.
Once again, hating is irrelevant. It's politics. People have goals. You have your goals. I assume Bernie Sanders knows what he wants, and he's willing to say nice things in order to get into a position that allows him some influence. Now, it could all come to nothing. In that case, what has he lost? He has lost nothing. Has he encouraged people to vote for Joe Biden, the lesser of the two evils? Yes. And in his eyes, he would see that as the lesser of the two evils.
Why would they give it to you? This is great, Kyle Klinsky. Why would they give you the labor secretary position? Why would they give that to you? They don't like you personally. They don't like your ideology. And you're already campaigning for Biden more than he is for himself. Why on earth would they do it? He's so naive, it's unbelievable. They hate you. Kyle, he's not naive. Everything Kyle said there is correct, except Bernie's not naive. Bernie's doing this on purpose. He's not dumber than you. He's not dumber than me. His whole life is politics for the last 50 years. He's not missing this.
Come on, Jimmy, tell us, why is he doing it?
He's not making a miscalculation. He's making a calculation, but it's not a miscalculation. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Okay, tell us, what is he doing and why?
God damn it. Here's Bernie Sanders.
Once again, he criticizes, but he doesn't tell us what the alternative is, or he's not telling us why Bernie Sanders is doing it.
Campaign for Biden. Here's Bernie Sanders campaigning for Biden. Being a team player.
These people don't seem to understand how politics works. Politics is not about your friends. It's not about being on a team. It's about loose coalitions of different, like the Democratic Party spans both extreme left and extreme right. And the idea that we're all friends because we all have the letter D after our name is that's naive. People want to achieve certain goals. Sometimes those goals align with yours. Sometimes they do not.
Even though the DNC and the DNC are the players, the DNC will always hate him. Let's watch. And that's...
If you think that's really the case, if you think that's actually funny, I don't find it funny. But if you find it funny, okay, you probably think Jimmy is right here. I don't think Jimmy is right.
It's a segment called Bernie Being a Cuck. That was such a bullshit. Did you see that shit he was slinging? Did you see that? Can we watch it one more time? Because this is such garbage.
Some of my friends in the Democratic establishment...
He still can't stop picking on himself.
...are not aware, or I think cannot comprehend what some of us have in mind.
And of course it sounds like bullshit, because you think that Bernie is using the word friends because he thinks friends. He has been in the Senate since the Senate opened, okay? He understands that some people you have to call your friends, even though you completely disagree with these people. And some people you don't have to call your friends. Some people you have to work with, some people you have to work against. Sometimes the people you're working with, you agree on one issue and you disagree on 99 issues. Because Bernie is, I still believe it. Maybe maybe I'm being naive here. But I think Bernie Sanders is above the fray. Bernie Sanders is working for the working class. He's working for the poor. He's not there to try and improve his own position. It's not vanity. It's not about his own power. It's about trying to have some sort of influence. He can't have influence on the outside. He wants to have influence on the inside.
In terms of what will happen after Biden is elected, hopefully after he's elected. And that is, we are not going back to business as usual. There's too much pain out there. There's too much inequality out there. There's too much injustice out there.
See, this is a message for two groups of people. This is a message for people who supported Bernie Sanders. Now, he's trying to give them hope. He understands that these people are pretty depressed at the moment. Joe Biden won because the system backed him. And they need some sort of motivation. And he says, look, I know that you're suffering. I know that we've had the rug pulled out from under us. But we need to continue to fight. I need your support. I may need your support in different ways in the future. If I'm inside the cabinet, maybe we can organize something. We can work together. People on the outside and people on the inside. That's his goal. Now, the message is also to people within the Democratic Party. I'm your friend. You're my friends. I want to work with you. Trying to create a positive picture of himself. So, look, I'm not angry about the primary. I'm here to support Joe. I want to maintain a fight. I'm not giving up. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not still a fighter. Because if I said something like, I'm just a Democratic guy now, they would see through that. So he's trying to speak to two different audiences. And I think he's trying to do the right thing.
The time came and went for you to do something, you fucking poser. The time was this year now.
Who's the poser here? Jimmy's projecting a little bit.
Oh. What are you doing right now? Nothing. What are you doing right now? One of the most powerful 50 people in the entire world. What are you doing right now?
You just said a few moments ago that nobody appears on his live streams. That more people appear on your live stream. You said a moment ago that nobody turns up to hear him speak. But now you're saying that he's one of the most powerful people in the world.
Nothing. What are you going to do tomorrow? Nothing. What are you going to do next week? Nothing.
What do you want him to do, Jimmy? Tell us. Please tell us. What do you want Bernie Sanders to do?
What are you going to do next month? Nothing. What are you going to do in December? Nothing. What are you going to do in January? Nothing. We're going to wait till Joe Biden gets inaugurated, and then we're going to spring into action and make Joe Biden do a bunch of stuff he's never, ever, ever going to fucking do.
It's not about getting Joe Biden to do something. It's about Bernie Sanders doing something on his own or with people who agree with him. If, let's say, for example, Bernie Sanders is given the Labour secretary position. That has a certain amount of power. He'd be able to maybe sponsor bills to improve, the minimum wage, things like this. Of course, there'd be resistance from the Democratic Party, and there may be resistance from Joe Biden, but he'd be able to negotiate something. He'd be able to push it a bit more than he would be on the outside. He would have no influence on the outside. He would be drowned out. He would be ignored. That's what Jimmy doesn't seem to understand. Bernie Sanders is making a calculated risk here. Maybe even when he's Labour Secretary, he'll have absolutely no power. But it's more power than he'll have on the outside. Once again, Jimmy has spent, this is 11 minutes in this segment, and Jimmy has not explained what Bernie Sanders should do.
And here is what I believe from the bottom of my heart. If the Democrats, with a Democratic president, Democratic House, and Democratic Senate, cannot begin to address the real crises facing this country.
We had a Democratic president with a supermajority Senate and the House. We had that. Do you know when we had that? We had that when Barack Obama was elected. And you know what we got out of it? We got the banks made bigger. We went from 2 wars to 7. And guess what? Barack Obama kicked 5.1 million people out of their homes in a similar economic situation to this right now.
And I agree 100%. I'm not disagreeing with you, Jimmy. The problem is, that's the system. Unfortunately, I really only started to discover this under Barack Obama's presidency. Barack Obama sold people down the river because he was part of the system. Now, there's a risk that Bernie Sanders will sell people down the river. There's also a possibility that he will not. He will try to help people and he may achieve something. Isn't that better than nothing? Because there is no alternative. The only other way is to burn everything down and start from scratch. And that's not going to happen. It's actually more likely to happen if the election is not clear. If the result of the election in November is not clear, there's a risk that someone may burn everything down and try to start from scratch. But I'm telling you, it will not be the progressives. It will be the far right.
So right now, Joe Biden kicked 5.1 million families out of their house in a similar... So that's his plan to deal with this, Bernie. That's how...
Actually, that's not Joe. We don't know. Once again, this is a problem that many people, especially on the left, are critical of Joe Biden. We don't know what Joe Biden is going to do. You can speculate what Joe Biden is going to do. We know what Donald Trump is going to do. And I've said this before. This election is not an election... it's not a vote between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. It's a referendum on Donald Trump. You either vote for Donald Trump or you vote against Donald Trump. Talking about what Joe Biden is going to do or what he might do or what he could have done or what he will do is speculation. That's all. We have no idea what Joe Biden is going to do. He's talked about some policies, but we have no idea whether he'll implement those or not. It depends on the Senate. It depends on Congress. It depends on many things. We will see. We don't even know how long Joe Biden will remain president. He's not a spring chicken.
Joe Biden deals with these kind of problems. He's going to give more money to the banks, and he's going to impose austerity on people, and he's going to kick them out of their houses.
And that will happen. He's going to impose austerity. He's going to support the banks. That happens whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. So what is your solution to that, Jimmy? Who is the candidate for president at the moment? We have Donald Trump, who would do that, or if Joe Biden, who would do that. There isn't really a choice, is there, when you talk about it from that? So we have to expand out the issues a bit. Somebody's going to be terrible with the environment. Somebody's going to be less terrible with the environment. Somebody's going to give all the money to the banks and big businesses. Somebody's going to give a little bit less money to the banks and big businesses.
He denies them Medicare for all. That's what Joe Biden's going to do. You don't think he's going to do that? Why aren't you fighting him right now? Why didn't you...
And what would he be able to achieve? Really, what would... Once again, you sort of cut off your own legs when you said that Bernie Sanders has no Nobody's listening to him anymore. Fewer people go on his streams than on your stream. What can Bernie Sanders do? Joe Biden is the candidate. The party is fully behind him. What? Bernie should stand on the outside screaming in again?
Get something from it before. I guess we all know this. It's hard to believe that there's nothing inside that guy, right? That's hard to believe, isn't it? It's true.
No, it's false.
Just as cowardly as anybody in the world, given the circumstance, Bernie Sanders.
I can't go any further with this because I'm getting a bit upset. You don't understand Bernie Sanders. You think he's doing this. Once again, Jimmy hasn't explained why he's doing this. He's criticized him for doing it. He said it's a bad idea, but he's not suggesting what Bernie Sanders should do. Unless he's, in a way, suggesting that Bernie Sanders should complain or scream about it or protest. And what would that achieve? He would actually become a pariah, perhaps. Look at Bernie Sanders trying to bring down Joe Biden. Oh, look at Bernie Sanders. He's still upset about losing the primary. Look at Bernie Sanders, bitter old man. How much influence do you think that would have on the party going forward if Joe Biden becomes president? How much influence do you think bitter old loser has over Joe Biden? Once again, if Bernie Sanders is a member of the cabinet, his abilities, his power may be extremely limited. I'm sure that if he can do nothing, he'll walk away, he'll resign and say, look, I tried to do something, but I achieved nothing. I achieved more inside than outside.
Wow. Okay, great job, Bernie.
Once again, what do you want him to do? You still haven't explained what you want him to do. You haven't explained an alternative. It's very easy for people to sit on the sidelines and say, Bernie Sanders should have done this. Bernie Sanders should have done that. Bernie Sanders is weak. Bernie Sanders is trying to do, I think, the best he can. And he should be commended for that. This video went on a lot longer than I expected. So I'll end it here. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?